Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about our college exchange program between study abroad and domestic students. So, our context is an American university. We'll engage undergraduate students, sophomores through seniors, and the program will include 15 students enrolled at the university, as well as 15 visiting study abroad students from different countries. And all of these students will come from different backgrounds. Our program is specifically a semester-long program that brings domestic and visiting students together through guided activities, dialogue, and reflection. And it addresses the problem that study abroad programs often are not intentional about facilitating intercultural exchange and connection. So this program provides these opportunities. Our overall goal is that through meaningful connections with peers from different backgrounds, students will deepen their intercultural understanding, strengthen their critical reflection and intercultural communication skills, and engage with different experiences, cultures, and perspectives. So, our program begins with some pre arrival events and activities, including reflections on students' previous intercultural experiences, a pre-program survey to gather basic student information and serve as a pre-assessment, and a virtual event for students to meet each other online and do initial introductions. So August will be our first in-person event, so it will include icebreakers and an introduction to the program in the university and a chance for students to share hopes and dreams for the semester. According to Gordon Alport's contact hypothesis theory, activities where people engage cooperatively towards common goals on an equal status with some kind of authority figure, in this case the program staff, leads to reduced stereotypes and a deeper understanding between people of different backgrounds. So to that end, we'll also assign pairs of domestic and study abroad students so that they can develop more meaningful and personal relationships. In September, we'll have our second in-person event. So to ensure reciprocity and exchange, study abroad students will share their initial experiences and reflections on the similarities and differences with their home university. This will expose domestic students to Deardorff's concept of internationalization at home, while also following the Open Canopy's principles of learner-generated content and exchanging stories and perspectives. We'll also engage in a fun shared activity of apple picking to further the contact hypothesis theory, the idea of common goals and activities.
And for October, we shift to reflecting critically on how students interpret intercultural encounters. The activity begins with a short warm-up where students share one moment from the past month that surprised or confused them. Then in small groups, they discuss short scenarios involving intercultural misunderstanding. They consider questions like, what are some possible interpretations? Are we treating one person's behavior as representative of a whole group? And finally, students complete a collaborative analysis chart and took part in whole class debrief. This activity is informed by Taylor's idea that the intercultural competence develops through supportive, reflective, and participatory learning rather than exposure alone, and is supported by the pedagogical idea from the article on intercultural digital exchange that starting with students on observation and helping them move beyond first impression can make them more likely to develop a nuanced understanding of their other people or cultures. It's further supported by the model of intercultural communicative competence, especially its emphasis on interpreting, relating, and critical cultural awareness, as well as the danger of a single story. And for November, we move to deeper perspective taking. Students begin by revisiting one moment from the semester that changed or complicated their understanding of another person or perspective. Then, in domestic visiting pairs, they exchange personal stories around prompts like feeling like an outsider or experiencing misunderstanding. And after listening, each student retells their partner's story in their first person. This activity draws on Small's idea of cognitive empathy by asking students to listen carefully to a partner's story and then retell. It's also supported by Taylor's idea that the development of intercultural competence requires supportive environment, critical reflection, and participatory methods.
Hello. For December, as Tyler and Open Canopy Framework suggest, intercultural learning requires guided critical reflection rather than mere exposure. Therefore, in December, it is all about individual and group synthesis and deep critical reflection to help students move beyond just surface level experiences. We will be closing the loop with collaborative art showcase and a whole group facilitated discussion. To ensure we evaluate students' growth, we will have a post-program survey, which will also give them an opportunity to mentor new cohort and become part of the larger alumni network. To assess whether meaningful intercultural learning is taking place, we use both formative and summative assessment across the semester. Formative assessment includes pre-arrival reflection and survey, facilitator observation, and October analysis chart, and the November story exchange and retelling activity. For summative assessment, we will include December written reflection, collaborative art showcase, closing circle, and a post-program survey. Together, these can help us evaluate students' growth in reflection, empathy, intercultural understanding, and communication. We do have some puzzles and challenges. We recognize three main challenges in this design. First, students may still generalize and turn one story into a fixed image of a whole group. And second, we need to ensure reciprocity rather than a host guest dynamic between domestic and visiting students. Third, we need to balance openness with guidance, since too little structure may lead to casual contact, while too much may make interaction feel forced. Thank you so much. Please do share your questions and your feedback.